Welcome to the Binding of Alexis. I am your host, Luis Leal, and today we're going to talk about the Diablo series. So let's talk about all three games and how it has become my favorite series. All right, first we'll talk about the very first Diablo game. On December 31st, 1996, Blizzard Entertainment released Diablo, but it was only on PC and original CD, and the game So the game in mostly random generated dungeon and role-playing hack and slash game. Diablo has three classic warriors: warrior, rogue, and sorcerer. They each have their own unique play style and even added an expansion pack called Diablo Hellfire, which added a new class called the Monk. This also added more stuff to the game. And sorry about that. This is the one game that started the Diablo series. Now, before we continue to Diablo 2, I would like to take this moment on some free talk from the first game as personal experience. The first time I ever played this game, I was I would say about 4, maybe 5. I would say around there. And I remember the first time playing it, my dad got it because he didn't know what it was. At first, he actually thought it was a movie, and so I started playing it. And I remember the first few moments was me playing as the rogue and dying almost immediately by everything in the level. So yeah, it was not a good playthrough first time. Yeah, so it kind of sucked. All right, we're going to talk about the second. We're going to talk about the second Diablo, which was released in the early 2000s, which was the predecessor to Diablo. When Diablo 2 released, it was a very popular game in the 2000s. This was because it still had that dark fantasy feel from the first one. The reason Diablo 2 was more popular than the first one was because there was a newly added online multiplayer, so now you can play with your friends. Diablo 2 also had slightly better graphics than the first one and added more new characters like the Amazon, the Necromancer, Barbarian, Sorceress, and Paladin. When we come back, we'll talk about Diablo 3. Well, if you guys enjoyed that commercial as much as we did. Welcome back. Right now we're going to be talking about Diablo 3. Now Diablo 3, no joke, is probably one of my most favorite ones, to be quite honest, because it was the third installment and it was released on the PS3 and the Xbox 360. Also, it has now been released on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. This is one of the most popular releases in the series, selling over 3.5 million copies in the first 24 hours of its release. I should know because I was one of those people who bought it in the first 24 hours. Here is a tip I would recommend if anybody gets Diablo 3, on the PS3 of course. Just because you get exclusive things like Hero's Journey, Drake's Amulet, and so on and so forth, which are very helpful actually. If you're planning to play the game for yourself, another helpful tip will be that you're playing with a sorcerer. Use the Templar as your companion. It will greatly help you. I know it, and it helps me most of the time. Not always. Usually die. A lot. Also, in Diablo 3, you can play online and offline. And it can support local multiplayer, so you can play with your siblings. I used to play with my brother a lot, but then my brother got bored of it and yada, yada, yada. You know how that goes. When we come back, I guess this is the farewell. I'll see you back at these commercials. All right, if you guys love that commercial, I know I did. Right now we're gonna talk about Diablo 3 just for a little bit, more of personal preferences and such and such. As a Diablo player from the very start, I did like part 3. Part 2 is probably one of the best for me. But if I'm gonna go more nostalgic, I would say Diablo 3 was probably the best. Just it's a personal preference, but although if you want to try the first and second, you can go. There's some on Amazon and eBay. There's probably even some on GameStop as we speak. Another personal thing that happened with me was a personal experience that happened with me in Diablo 3 is there was this, I don't remember her name exactly, but I do remember spending over an hour trying to fight her as she killed everything I threw at her. So. Yeah, that was probably one of the most fun I've ever had, mostly because I spent the whole day inside, and that's how I learned to be a gamer. And not only that, Diablo 3 was probably the start of my PC gaming. Although I played Diablo 3 around when I was in, 7th grade maybe? Yeah, so I mean, that's pretty much all for today. I hope you all will give Diablo 3, 2, and 1, even the little DLC pack in there, a try, and I will see you all later.